Hello legends and super legends, welcome to Veloharmony. Today we're going to be talking about road pedals. What inspired me to do this video is we've got one of our earliest legends, Aaron Powell, watched the video where I talked about revisiting your fit, and he asked a question about giving him more insight, more light on, shedding light on the different pedal systems that are out there, because he, based on the suggestion and recommendation of this channel, he went and got his fit professionally done. Good job there. And so his fitter, knowing that he had a lack of flexibility in his knee, suggested that he use the Shimano SPD SL yellow cleats. So he wanted me to shed some light because he saw the cleat I showed, which had the little blue walking area that I showed at the bottom of my shoe, and he wanted to know the differences. That's what we're going to be talking about. So even though we're talking about road pedals, we're really going to be going into the cleats that you use to attach to these road pedals. So for time constraint purposes, there are a lot of pedal systems out there. I'm going to talk about the three main ones. We got Look pedals, Shimano pedals, and Speed Play. It says Speed Play 0. That's the current model they have, and I'll tell you about them. So the pedal system on Look, they give you a black pedal that has 0 float. They give you a red pedal that has 9 degrees of float. They give you a gray pedal that has 4.5 degrees of float. When you're buying your pedals, you're given a choice of which color to get. When you're buying your cleats, also you shop for whatever float you prefer. Shimano gives you a red pedal that has 0 float, yellow pedal that has 6 degrees, blue that has 2 degrees. Speed Play 0 pedals go from 0 to 15 degrees. Speed Play is a different kind of pedal. The cleat itself, the walking surface is actually the pedal because it's a lot bigger. It's a different system that gets you closer to the axle of the pedal. It has very low stack height. But let's talk about Shimano and Look first. I put them side by side so you can see the differences. The black pedal here is 0 float. For Shimano, the red is 0 float. They don't have a black pedal per se as far as the walk. They use the walking areas in the Shimano pedal to denote the float that you have. So Shimano yellow, which is what Aaron has 6 degrees of float. What I wear is the Shimano blue that has 2 degrees of float. Whereas with Look, the gray has the smallest float, the red has the most float, and the black has none. I prefer the Shimano, and I explained why in the video where I said revisit your fit. They're wider for me, and they work for me to spread the force of the pedals across more of the ball of my foot, and I don't have numbness. A lot of people use Look pedals with no problems, and that's why we're talking about it. Now, why should you pick one over the other? That was Aaron's contention. He said, can you shed some light on this? If you've had, like, I will use Paul for an example, and then also Aaron. His fitter found that he had less flexibility in his knee, so his fitter recommended, rightly so, the yellow pedals that gives you more float. Well, what does 6 degrees mean? 6 degrees means if you're wearing the yellow Shimano pedals, you can move 3 degrees to the left, 3 degrees to the right, as far as the back of your foot. That's what the float means, okay? Because the human knee does not track on a perfect line. I've talked about it in other videos. Our leg goes, if you watch it very closely, your tracking is not straight up and down. The human leg does not do that. At 12 o'clock, it may be here, and then maybe at 2 o'clock, it may move over, then come back. It eventually ends up coming straight down, but it goes a roundabout way. So the tracking when you're pedaling, if you look at somebody pedaling from the front, it is like this. It does not go straight up and down. That's the benefit of having float. A lot of people can benefit from float. Now, it doesn't mean that the ones with 0 float are bad. What it means is you better make sure that pedal cleat is set up perfectly. You need to tweak it to where it's set up perfectly so it's not pulling your knee in an unnatural position. So they require more care to set up. With the ones that have more float, you can hedge because you've got more range for all of them. So the 9-degree here in Shimano means you can move 4.5 to one side as far as without unclipping. That's what you're getting with these float. I don't like a whole lot of float. Some people need them. Paul needs it. Paul has an old injury to a knee that has since healed, but that knee, because of the old injury, does not have the same kind of flexibility as the non-injured knee. If any of you have ever had an injury or know somebody who has had, my wife had shoulder surgery, and till this day, she can't do certain moves, even after years of therapy, okay? So the body just has different needs, and you need to address that. There's nothing wrong with one versus the other. Find the one that you prefer and use that. So over time, I've used the fix before in the past, and I found that I prefer a little bit of float. So over the years, I gravitated towards settling on the 2 degrees because this one just seemed to give me too much more float. It felt like I was like in a swamp when I was riding, if you know what I mean. And that's what it's about. Understanding what you need. So what I usually recommend when I fit people, I always go with the smallest possible degree unless they've already told me to have a preference. If they have no preference, I rarely move people directly to fixed. I much rather put them on the smallest float, depending on the pedal system they have. You know, when I'm involved in helping, making a recommendation, because it's just safer. You know, float is a good thing. It's good to have because you don't want to injure your knees. You know, we have a lot of tendons and ligaments and other things in there. You don't want to be pulling them for thousands of strokes in the wrong direction. If you're having any pain in your knee, revisit. You know, when they say revisit your fit, what they mean is look at saddle height because it can cause pain, and look at your pedal system because it can cause pain. So many things can give you the same symptoms from the body. You know, that's what that means. Now, with the Speed Play Zero, Speed Play is a different kind of pedal system in that the cleat itself really is the pedal. You're just hooking into this little ball, and you can enter that from either side. That's one of the pluses, but it does require a lot of finesse, meaning patience. It gives you so much flexibility, meaning you can dial in one side. You can dial in the float on one side or whatever you prefer. That can be different from the float on another side. So since it has so much flexibility, it requires more care. It requires more patience to set up. To really benefit from it. If you're not patient and you don't really understand how to set it up, it can frustrate you. You know, it's a completely different pedal technology. The cleats are a lot more expensive than these guys. These guys are around $14 when I replaced them. Speed Play is more expensive because it's really the pedal. So you spend more. They do last for a while. They do require more care because they have a lot of metal in there. You have to make sure if you're riding in the rain or whatever that you lube the cleat. I'm calling it the cleat because it's attached to the shoe, but it's really the pedal. You know, it has everything, all the mechanisms in there. People love it. There are people who try it, they love it. And then there's people who try it and they're like, yeah, it's okay, but I was replacing the cleats too much or whatever. Speed Play does have a new version that you can walk in easier because the Speed Play cleat has a lot of metal surfaces in there. You know, it's kind of an odd shape. I'll put the picture up here, but they're all pretty good. And the reason why I stress the Speed Play needs more care. If you're going to venture there, you have to be willing to either have a Speed Play shop or rep help you set it up, or invest the time in understanding how to set it up. They come with a plate, almost like a shim, that you can attach to the bottom of the 3-hole shoes that we have to basically begin to attach the cleat to the bottom of your shoe. And I said cleat with hesitation because there's really not a cleat. Their system is where everything you need is in that cleat. There's not much for the piece that attaches to the bike. It's one of those systems where you either love or you hate it. You know, I use the Shimano system, but most of you know why. It is wide and it suits me. I like a wide platform so that most of the ball of my foot gets the force that I apply to the pedal. I hope that this video will help you understand pedal systems. I will add I will embed the video in a blog that I will write for those of you who want to get additional information, but I think we've covered everything here. So you really can't go wrong with any of them. Just be careful with the fixed cleats, because even the professionals can use float. A lot of them do. I saw a video that GCN made, and Aaron mentioned it when he was talking. They interviewed the pros. Some of the pros didn't really know why they were even using these systems. You know, why are you wearing it? Oh, my team gave it to me. You know, that's the stuff I talk about. So just because somebody's a pro doesn't mean that they spend time in the details. So you want to find what works for you. And if it's working for you, you stay with it. I like these a lot. I always have extra cleats sitting here, because when I need to replace a cleat, I don't want to go shop for it. I shop for them ahead of time, and I have them in here, and I keep them. Because once they're worn, then you unclip a lot unexpectedly than you need to. These guys last a long time. I don't do a whole lot of walking in my cleats, but Shimano built their cleats, like the one Aaron has is yellow. Those are the walking surfaces, the colored areas. That's what you walk on. And they added those little areas that make it easy to walk in. So you're not chewing up your cleats when you walk. You just have to be careful when you walk in rocky areas, because the rocks will dig into your cleats. On a regular paved surface is not a problem. That's any cleat you have. If you're walking in rock and mud and all of that, no, I cover my cleats. I use cleat covers on my cleat, and I will put a link to that here. When I have to walk, like when I do Grand Fondos and they have rest stops in muddy areas or whatever, every Grand Fondo I go to, I have my cleat covers with me. When I ride by myself solo, I don't carry cleat covers, because we only stop at places like convenience stores and stuff that have a paved area. So we're not worried about walking in rocks. The rocks themselves are the problems, because they get in between, and they will sometime on the Shimano cleats. I've had that experience. Brand new cleat. The rock actually removed the walking area, that blue area that I showed, and you see it in the picture. They removed that by stepping on the rock the wrong way. It just peeled that off. It was glued to it. So here I was with a brand new cleat. My walking surface was gone. You know, I ended up putting glue in that spot because I wasn't going to throw the cleat away. It was still usable. So since then, I've been very cautious about where I walk. But when you have your cleat covers on, they make them for the different kinds of pedal systems. Shimano has its own that accommodates that shape. Look has cleat covers. They're made by different people. Some of them are called cool covers and whatever else. And yeah, if you're going to do a lot of walking in muddy areas while you're riding, throw them in your pocket and take them with you. Your cleat will thank you for it. Plus, it's a lot easier to clip back in than when you have gunk in there. I don't like stuff grinding my pedal away, you know, so you keep that in mind. I hope this video will help some of you make a decision between and just get an understanding of the different road pedals that are out there. Okay, so no matter what, get your K's in.